we talk about the things you should never reveal, the first and perhaps most crucial is your deepest fears and insecurities. On the surface, it might seem like honesty is always the best policy, that sharing your vulnerabilities is a mark of courage. And in some contexts, that is true. But the truth is more nuanced. Your fears are not just thoughts, they are fragile territories of your psyche, delicate strings that tie together your sense of safety, your identity, and your ability to act in the world. Exposing them indiscriminately can invite unintended consequences, even from those who appear well-meaning. People rarely respond with pure understanding. They respond with their own filters, biases, and agendas. Consider how fear functions psychologically. Fear is not merely an emotion, it is a signal, a guide that tells us where our boundaries lie, what we value, and where we are vulnerable. When you reveal these vulnerabilities, you are giving others access to the very keys of your inner world. Some may honor that access, yes, but many will unconsciously, or consciously, exploit it. Even friends or family can minimize your fears not out of malice, but simply because they cannot experience them the way you do. And when that happens, the act of sharing can leave you feeling exposed, diminished, or even shamed. This does not mean you live in constant secrecy or avoid human connection. It means cultivating discernment. There is a difference between sharing in a therapeutic, guided, or intentional setting, where your fears can be held safely, and spilling them casually in conversation. One builds understanding, the other can destabilize your sense of self. Your fear, when guarded and processed internally, retains its integrity. It can teach you, motivate you, and protect you without being weaponized against you. Philosophically, it's a question of boundaries. Our culture often mistakes openness for authenticity, assuming that revealing everything about oneself is the highest form of honesty. But true authenticity is not the same as unfiltered disclosure. It is the careful stewardship of your inner life, choosing when, how, and to whom you reveal your interior world. This is an art of self-preservation, not deception. When you master it, you preserve your energy, maintain your agency, and even strengthen your relationships, because what you choose to share comes from a place of strength rather than weakness. There is also a deeper, existential element here. Fear and insecurity are intimate companions of consciousness. They mark the limits of what you know about yourself and the world. By keeping them private, you allow them to function as teachers. They become lenses through which you explore courage, resilience, and moral responsibility. Once externalized indiscriminately, they lose this reflective power and risk becoming instruments of external judgment rather than internal growth. So, the wisdom lies not in denying your fears, but in understanding them, integrating them, and only revealing them with intention and care. To do so is not isolation. It is mastery. It is saying, I own this part of myself, and I will not surrender it recklessly. In a world that often pushes for oversharing, this kind of quiet, intentional protection is revolutionary. In the end, your fears and insecurities are yours to navigate. Guard them wisely, learn from them, and allow them to shape you into someone resilient, thoughtful, and profoundly alive. The power of self-possession comes not from hiding who you are entirely, but from choosing what you reveal and to whom. Protect what is most vulnerable, and in doing so, you claim a freedom that is unavailable to those who give away their inner life without thought. The second thing you should never reveal, and perhaps one of the most practical, is your true financial situation. At first glance, this might seem mundane, almost transactional, but the deeper implications are profoundly psychological and even existential. Money is never just money. It is freedom, it is security, it is status, and for many it is deeply entangled with self-worth. To disclose the intimate details of your financial life is to expose yourself in a space where human nature often operates without full conscience or compassion. Think about the dynamics at play. If someone knows that you have resources, even modest ones, you suddenly become a target for expectation, envy, or subtle manipulation. The human mind is wired to notice disparities and to attach meaning to them, often unconsciously. Conversely, if you reveal financial struggle, you risk judgment, pity, or exploitation. People may respond with advice, assumptions, or even resentment because they interpret your financial reality not as a neutral fact, but as a reflection of competence, morality, or character. In essence, money is a kind of invisible armor. It protects your autonomy, your freedom to act, and your ability to navigate relationships without undue influence. Psychologically, guarding your financial details is also an act of self-preservation. Many of us underestimate how much our sense of identity is intertwined with money. It is a source of anxiety, yes, but also a measure of agency, the ability to make choices, to say yes or no, to pursue life on your own terms. Exposing that balance, or imbalance, can shift power dynamics without your consent. Even close friends or family can behave differently when they know what you have or lack. They may not intend harm, but intention is not the measure here. Impact is. Discretion is therefore not dishonesty. It is the careful maintenance of your ability to live your life according to your values rather than according to other people's expectations. There is also a philosophical dimension. In our culture, we are often taught that transparency is a virtue, that honesty in all matters is morally righteous. But financial transparency is rarely morally neutral. It invites projection, other people projecting their desires, fears, or insecurities onto you. The world is full of subtle pressures and unspoken social contracts, and money always intensifies them. When you choose to keep this domain private, you are not rejecting honesty. You are asserting a boundary between your inner sovereignty and the unpredictable impulses of the external world. Moreover, secrecy about money is not merely defensive. It is generative. When your financial reality is a private domain, you can cultivate it with intention. You can make choices based on your priorities rather than on the invisible expectations of others. You can take calculated risks, save, invest, or give without being pulled into reactive social dynamics. You retain clarity and focus, and this clarity allows for a kind of creative freedom that cannot exist when your financial life is an open book. At its core, keeping your financial situation private is a practice in self-respect. It is recognizing that the value of your life is not reducible to what you own or owe. By maintaining discretion, you protect your relationships from transactional contamination, you shield your psyche from unnecessary stress, and you preserve your autonomy in a world that constantly tests it. So, guard your financial truths as you would guard any precious resource. Not out of fear, but out of respect for your ability to live freely, intentionally, and with integrity. In doing so, you reclaim a measure of control over your life, over your choices, and over the subtle currents that shape human interaction. Your wealth, your struggles, your decisions, they are yours first. Protect them, and in that protection lies a profound freedom. The third thing you should never reveal is the intimate dynamics of your personal relationships, your conflicts, struggles, or private tensions. Relationships are the arenas in which our deepest selves are both expressed and tested, and yet they are also the most fragile spaces we inhabit. To expose their inner workings casually, even to well-intentioned friends or family, is to risk distorting something sacred, something that exists primarily between the people directly involved. Every word shared beyond that private sphere has the potential to change how others perceive you, your partner, or the relationship itself, often in ways that you cannot control. Relationships are fundamentally a negotiation of trust, vulnerability, and mutual understanding. When you reveal conflicts or disagreements, you are inviting third parties to weigh in, interpret, or pass judgment, often based on incomplete information, personal bias, or their own unresolved issues. Even if they intend to help, their perspectives are colored by their own experiences, and the result can be unintentional harm. Suddenly, a private tension becomes public fodder, and the people involved may find themselves judged or misunderstood. This is not to say that you should never seek support. It is to say that the context and the audience matter profoundly. Your intimate struggles deserve careful, considered attention, not casual disclosure. Psychologically, guarding the privacy of your relationships helps maintain their integrity. Conflict, tension, and disagreement are natural, even necessary for growth within any bond. But when these moments are externalized indiscriminately, they lose their transformative potential. What could have been a space for negotiation, understanding, and maturation instead becomes a story told and interpreted by others, a story that may not reflect the truth at all. In essence, sharing relationship struggles too freely shifts the locus of control from the participants to the audience, And with that shift comes a loss of agency, trust, and sometimes even respect. There is also a deeper philosophical dimension to consider. Relationships are mirrors. They reflect back not only our patterns of behavior, but also our vulnerabilities, our projections, and our unresolved internal conflicts. Exposing the delicate interplay of these dynamics to outsiders risks breaking the reflective function of the relationship itself. What remains private allows you to learn from it, to understand yourself and your partner more fully, and to cultivate empathy and patience. By keeping the inner life of your relationships private, you create a safe space where growth is possible, where mistakes can be addressed without external pressure, and where love and respect are nurtured rather than weaponized. Furthermore, discretion in relationships is a profound form of respect, not just for yourself, but for the other person. It signals that you honor the trust between you, that you recognize the shared vulnerability inherent in close bonds, and that you are willing to work through challenges directly rather than outsourcing them to others. This is a radical form of responsibility, taking ownership of your role in the dynamics, while resisting the urge to seek validation, gossip, or advice from the wider world. Ultimately, the decision to keep your relationship struggles private is not about secrecy or avoidance. It is about mastery. It is about recognizing that some aspects of life are too precious to be subjected to the judgment, misunderstanding, or curiosity of others. By protecting the sanctity of these intimate spaces, you allow relationships to develop with honesty, integrity, and resilience. So, safeguard the inner workings of your personal bonds. Allow conflicts to exist, to be felt, and to be resolved between the people who are directly involved. By doing so, you honor the humanity of all parties, preserve the dignity of the relationship, and create a space where growth, understanding, and love can flourish unimpeded. Protect this privacy, and you will find that your relationships are not only stronger, but also more authentic, rooted in trust and tempered by the quiet wisdom of discretion. The fourth thing you should never reveal is your personal ambitions or secret plans. At first, it may seem counterintuitive. After all, isn't sharing our dreams a way to gain support, encouragement, or accountability? Yet the deeper truth is that premature disclosure often undermines the very things you hope to achieve. Your plans are fragile seedlings, existing in the fertile soil of intention and imagination, and exposing them too early can expose them to doubt, criticism, or even subtle sabotage. There is a psychological principle at work here. When you verbalize your ambitions, you create a premature sense of accomplishment in your own mind. This is often referred to as the social reality effect. The mind treats the externalization of a plan as if it were partially complete, and this can reduce the drive to follow through. The energy that should be spent in preparation, adaptation, and deliberate action can instead dissipate into social exchange, into explanations, justifications, and the unconscious desire for approval. By keeping your goals private, you retain the raw, unadulterated motivation that fuels real progress. Furthermore, ambitions are deeply personal reflections of your values, your vision of the world, and your sense of purpose. Sharing them indiscriminately exposes these inner landscapes to others, and not everyone will respond with generosity or understanding. Some may unintentionally sow doubt, others may feel threatened, and some may even actively work against your success, often out of envy or fear. Human relationships are complex, and even people with the best intentions are filtered through their own experiences and insecurities. By guarding your plans, you protect them from being influenced, distorted, or hijacked by forces outside your control. Philosophically, there is something profound about the privacy of aspiration. Your dreams exist in a space where imagination, courage, and persistence meet. They require a kind of sacred solitude, a domain where the mind can explore possibilities freely, unburdened by the expectations or judgments of others. This internal space allows you to test ideas, confront your doubts, and refine your strategy before exposing it to the external world. In this sense, discretion is not secrecy, it is stewardship. It is caring for the potential of your life with the seriousness it deserves. There is also an element of timing and power. Plans, like seeds, need time to grow before they are revealed. Revealing them too early can provoke pressure, anxiety, or even premature interference from others. Keeping them private allows you to act with strategic patience. You gain the ability to observe, to adapt, and to develop competence without the noise of external validation or expectation. In doing so, your eventual success is based on skill, effort, and perseverance, not on public sympathy, persuasion, or encouragement. Ultimately, guarding your ambitions is about cultivating integrity with yourself. It is a declaration that your life, your vision, and your potential are not commodities to be traded or tested against public opinion. You honor your own creative process and preserve the freedom to grow, fail, and refine without external pressure. The world will inevitably test your resolve, but by keeping your plans private until they are ready, you meet those tests on your own terms with clarity, confidence, and resilience. So, protect your ambitions, nurture them in quiet, deliberate solitude, and allow them to mature before sharing them with the world. The act of safeguarding your plans is not isolation, it is empowerment. It preserves the purity of your intent and strengthens your capacity to act decisively when the time is right. In doing so, you create a life guided not by others' expectations, but by the disciplined, intentional pursuit of your own highest potential. Guard what you aim for, and the world will respect the power you have cultivated in silence. The fifth thing you should never reveal indiscriminately is your mental and emotional struggles. In a culture that increasingly valorizes openness, it might seem counterintuitive to keep these aspects of yourself private. We are told that sharing our inner battles is therapeutic, that vulnerability is a virtue. And in the right context, within therapy, trusted mentorship, or a supportive partnership, this is true. But there is a profound difference between intentional sharing and casual disclosure. Your emotional life is deeply personal, and exposing it too freely can compromise your autonomy, distort relationships, and invite unintended judgment or manipulation. Mental and emotional struggles are not just fleeting states, they are maps of your inner world. They reflect unresolved trauma, unmet needs, and the subtle patterns of your personality that have developed over a lifetime. Sharing them without discernment is like giving a stranger the keys to a house they do not fully understand. Even well-meaning people may misinterpret your experience, respond inadequately, or inadvertently reinforce feelings of shame or inadequacy. And once exposed, these struggles become social objects, subject to evaluation, commentary, and comparison, which can diminish your sense of ownership over them. Psychologically, maintaining discretion over your inner struggles allows you to process them with integrity. Emotions are not meant to be mere performances for an audience. They are signals that require attention, reflection, and sometimes silence. By holding them privately, you preserve the capacity for self-regulation, for understanding the underlying causes, rather than reacting to the immediate social consequences of disclosure. You create a space in which your feelings can be acknowledged, examined, and integrated, rather than externalized and fragmented. Philosophically, there is a deeper truth here. Emotional and mental challenges are often intimately tied to identity. They shape the contours of how you see yourself in the world. To reveal them indiscriminately is to expose the architecture of your inner life to forces that may not honor it. Life itself is a process of negotiating the tension between vulnerability and strength, between connection and autonomy. Guarding your inner life does not mean rejecting connection. It means preserving the sacredness of your experience until it can be held in a context that is safe, intentional, and supportive. Moreover, discretion in sharing mental and emotional struggles fosters resilience. When you choose carefully when and with whom to disclose, you maintain agency. You decide what is seen and what remains internal, which allows you to act from a place of clarity rather than reactivity. This is not avoidance, it is strategic presence. You are fully aware of your challenges without giving them away as tools for others to interpret, judge, or control. In doing so, you honor your own experience and strengthen your capacity to engage with the world from a grounded, thoughtful place. There is also an ethical dimension. Revealing your vulnerabilities freely can unintentionally shift responsibility onto others or create relational imbalances. People may feel compelled to respond in ways that serve their own needs, or your openness may inadvertently encourage dependency. By holding your struggles responsibly, you maintain relational equilibrium, ensuring that connection is based on mutual respect and understanding rather than reactive caretaking. So protect your inner life with intention and care. Recognize your emotional and mental struggles as yours first. Acknowledge them, learn from them, integrate them. But do not give them away indiscriminately. There is profound power in discretion. By safeguarding this intimate terrain, you maintain clarity, autonomy, and resilience. You create the conditions for true support, for growth, and for healing, rather than exposure to judgment or manipulation. Protect your inner world, and you will discover the quiet strength that comes from knowing you alone can navigate the depths of your own mind with honesty, courage, and wisdom. The sixth and final thing you should never reveal indiscriminately is your private opinions on sensitive topics. Politics, religion, morality, or anything that touches the core of your belief system. These opinions are more than mere thoughts. They are extensions of your values, your identity, and your understanding of the world. To expose them carelessly is to invite judgment, conflict, and sometimes even subtle forms of social manipulation. It is not that expressing your ideas is inherently wrong. It is that the context, the audience, and the timing determine whether expression strengthens or diminishes your sense of self. Think about the dynamics at play when we reveal deeply held beliefs. Humans are wired to interpret others' statements through the lens of their own experiences and insecurities. What is for you a considered, nuanced position may be for someone else a provocation, a challenge, or an opportunity to assert influence. Even those with seemingly benign intentions can unconsciously weaponize your honesty, turning it into a lever of judgment or social pressure. Your private convictions, when exposed without discretion, become vulnerable to distortion, misrepresentation, or misuse, and the consequences can ripple far beyond the moment of disclosure. Psychologically, guarding your sensitive opinions is an act of maintaining cognitive and emotional sovereignty. These beliefs are the products of reflection, experience, and sometimes struggle. They are the scaffolding upon which your understanding of life rests. When you reveal them indiscriminately, you risk having that scaffolding shaken by forces that do not share your perspective or your capacity for nuance. By keeping them private, you allow yourself the space to continue refining your views, testing ideas, and evolving your understanding without the pressure of immediate social validation or criticism. Philosophically, this is about the preservation of integrity. There is a profound difference between sharing an idea to seek genuine dialogue and broadcasting it into an arena where it can be weaponized. Integrity is not simply holding convictions. It is knowing when to reveal them and when to hold them in reserve. By exercising discretion, you maintain the ethical and psychological balance that allows your beliefs to remain yours first, before they are interpreted, judged, or contested by others. There is also a strategic element. Sensitive opinions, when revealed too freely, can create conflict where none needs to exist, distract from meaningful action, or even isolate you socially. By practicing selective disclosure, you maintain influence rather than ceding it. You choose when, where, and how your voice is heard, ensuring that it is received in the spirit it is intended, rather than being filtered through the distortions of misunderstanding, bias, or emotional reactivity. Moreover, keeping these opinions private nurtures a sense of internal freedom. You are not bound to perform your beliefs for others' approval, nor are you subjected to the fluctuating judgments of peers, acquaintances, or social media. You can think, reflect, and evolve without constraint, allowing your ideas to mature in the space of thought, rather than in the arena of reaction. This creates a quiet strength, a resilience that comes from knowing that your mind and your convictions are under your own stewardship. So, protect your private opinions on sensitive matters. Treat them as intimate parts of your inner landscape, worthy of care, consideration, and discretion. To do so is not cowardice, it is wisdom. It is the cultivation of mental clarity, emotional resilience, and relational harmony. By holding what is most personal in reserve, you ensure that when you do speak, your voice carries authority, thoughtfulness, and impact. In the economy of human interaction, knowing what to reveal and what to safeguard is among the most profound acts of self-respect and psychological maturity. Protect your convictions wisely, and you will discover the strength, clarity, and freedom that come from mastering the art of measured disclosure.